Well, joining us now to discuss the current situation in Gaza as well as Israel's additional security issues is Colonel Miri Eisin of the International Institute for Counterterrorism. Colonel Eisen, always a pleasure to have you on. Thank you for joining us today. Do President Trump's bold and, in many cases, capitalized threats on social media to the terror group Hamas actually have an impact on the negotiations process?
I don't think that anybody in Hamas in the Gaza Strip, or for that matter, even the Hamas people who are in Qatar or Turkey, listen to the threats from President Trump. I think that what they're listening to is the campuses, is the street. I want to even say to the other voices, progressives and others, I think that they feel emboldened right now. They're ignoring the threats and they feel much stronger because of the other voices that have been coming out of all of the Western world. It's a very challenging time right now.
Now, in regards to the Gaza City operation, we've seen a lot of pushback, yes, internationally, but also some domestically, as we spoke about. What is the Israeli public feeling about this Gaza City operation and the ongoing war?
Nobody understands it. Is that the best way to define it right now? Meaning everybody understands the need and desire to destroy as much of Hamas's terror capabilities as possible. Nobody's arguing with that. The question has always been, what about the 48 hostages? And at every stage along the way, it's been about those numbers. Will this attack, this continuing operation, threaten the lives of the hostages? And I say, sadly, I don't see a way out of that one. The actual action itself is one that will threaten hostages because Hamas, again, emboldened, not by the Israelis, emboldened by the international community, emboldened by their being legitimized by everybody in the world, Hamas would execute hostages rather than let Israel get them back. And that will tear us apart completely. So it's a horrible situation. And I think that that's what the Israeli public does not understand. How can you not destroy Hamas, but by trying to do so, you were threatening the hostages? And those are the voices that we're listening to.
Well, you know, what you're describing, of course, is really a Sophie's choice. No matter what you do, it's a lose-lose situation for the state of Israel. And yet a decision has to be made at some point. Do you think that the Gaza City operation is the right path forward militarily?
I think that there is military logic to it. And at the end, just like when you were describing before the other aspects of what's happening in Israel, it all becomes very ideological. And I think that right now, the bulk of people want Hamas to be destroyed and want to save the hostages. And I think that at least in the polls in Israel, 65% of the Israeli people say that they prefer hostages over the other target. And you know what, at the end, as you said with the Sophie's choice, there is no happily ever after. Isn't that what we want? And we're not going to get that, and we need to face that. This is very harsh. So yes, there is military logic. It will most definitely push Hamas into the corner. And when you push Hamas into the corner, sadly, terror organization, Hamas as a terror organization, will do, I think, terrible things.
Well, we have seen several videos surface just in the last few days of Hamas beating and torturing Gaza civilians. We've also seen countless videos of Gazans reporting that Hamas is preventing them from leaving dangerous areas of conflict in the Gaza Strip, especially with the news of this upcoming Gaza City operation. Now, obviously, we know that Hamas is doing this in order to maximize those civilian casualties for propaganda purposes. But what can Israel do to mitigate this, if anything?
One of the things that we don't do enough, and I think it's important to do so, is to acknowledge how much the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip suffer. They suffer. And my heart goes out to them, to the children, to the mothers. I cannot imagine what it's like to be one of these 2 million people inside the Gaza Strip. What we can do is constantly separate between the people, those innocent people, and in Israel, it's always that question, are they innocent or not? Their kids, their mothers, they're trying to live their lives. To separate between them and between Hamas, the terror army, Hamas, the terror army. We don't do that enough. Everybody in the world now combines them all together. Hamas is getting the fruits of riding on the backs of the Palestinian people. As you described, they torture them, they kill them, they make it impossible for them. And we do not put out a message which separates the two. And I think that that's part of the reason that around the world, everybody looks at it and says, it's the Palestinians. And I'm going to say, I support the Palestinians and I am completely against Hamas, the terror organization. And I don't think it's an easy situation. Again, this isn't going to be about them liking us, but there's a lot that we could do there.
Now, one of the issues on the table that we see in the Israeli Knesset right now is the discussion of annexation of Judea and Samaria, or parts of it. What role does annexation play in pressuring Israel's enemies, and do the benefits or potential benefits outweigh the costs, especially given that, as we heard, the UAE is even threatening to cancel the Abraham Accords in response?
So I'm going to take the question, I'm going to divide it up. I mean, in that sense, there's no pressure in that sense that by threatening with annexation. I think that Minister Bezalel Smotrich is not threatening. He wants annexation. Minister Bezalel Smotrich has said it as part of what he wants to do. It's always been on the agenda for him. He's always noted that. It's in the party platform. I'll also add that in his party platform that he has forwarded all the time, he doesn't even pass what we call inside Israel the threshold in potential elections, meaning he does not have broad support for this inside Israel. He doesn't even have less than 3% support. So let's be clear, it's on the table mainly from what I am going to call groups inside, parties inside, it's inside the government, but it is so not in consensus in broader Israel. And it most definitely immediately threatens any kind of agreements that we have, not just with the Emirates, also with Bahrain, let alone Morocco. It would cut off those ones. I even want to go a step further. I think that if Israel would do so, it would threaten the strategic peace treaties that we already have, both with Jordan and with Egypt. It is a real worry there. And I don't think that it's worth the effort, but worth that threat, because it's not a threat. It is something which really changes the arena.
All right, well, definitely important insight on this issue. We hear a lot about the comments of folks like Minister Smotrich. It's important to put that in perspective in regards to what you mentioned about the threshold. Thank you so much for joining us, Colonel Miri Eisin.
Thank you all.